Hi, this is Hugh Dunstan.
And this is Tim Roberts. We're here today to continue our journey about the important roles of high-demand amino acids that keep you active and healthy. In previous episodes, we've spoken about histidine and glycine, and today we'll be looking at serine. Now, serine's one of the amino acids that our body can make. It's not one of those amino acids that we must get in our diet. So, Hugh, why do we need this amino acid in our diet if we can make it ourselves?
Well, we like to take in lots of amino acids, even those that we can make, but serine in particular has very high demand in numerous roles around the body. It's in lots of metabolic pathways, it's used in lots of processes that are absolutely fundamental to keeping you healthy and active. On the other side of it, it's also excreted in very high amounts in the sweat and the urine, and the latest evidence is that these excretion processes in sweat and urine are associated with resorption of sodium and chloride. So there's a big demand on this amino acids, and it's just that our bodies can't always keep up with demand. Usually our demand is highest when we are active and we can't take in food, and so this is where quite often we cannot keep up with supply.
So a supplement of the amino acid in its individual molecular form would be useful, because in our food, the only way it will be presented to us really is as part of a polypeptide chain, a protein that then has to be broken down. So what you're saying is that no matter how much protein we're eating, we probably will be in situations where we might be a little bit undernourished in the amount of serine we are able to produce. Is that right?
Yes. So the other side to this coin, of course, is that when the body needs serine, it will get it. And it gets it from breaking down the muscle proteins. So this is a process that's evolved and enables us to survive between meals and be active between meals. So what happens is when the levels of serine are lowered in the blood supply through various processes of utilization, the body switches on this catabolic effect, which is effectively the breakdown of muscle proteins to provide the amino acids the body needs to replenish the supply. It sounds counterproductive, but it's a very small fraction of the muscles, but nevertheless significant, and particularly over time, if you haven't replenished properly, then you can have problems with maintaining muscle mass and indeed in growing muscle mass.
I'd just like to jump in there, Hugh, because for me, there's a couple of terms: an anabolic state and a catabolic state. When we're in an anabolic state, we are digesting our food, and that's broken down to amino acids, and then those amino acids are used to build muscles or other proteins we might need. And then you're saying in the catabolic state, the body is looking for amino acids, and so it goes to the reserve bank of amino acids, which are the muscle proteins, and breaks down its own muscles. A term that if we're sick, we are sick for, let's say, a couple of days. When we get up, we're 3 or 4 kilograms lighter because our muscles have wasted. But basically, our muscles have been broken down to provide amino acids. I think the key point there is that the body is synthesizing proteins all the time. The body is needing amino acids as neurotransmitters and other functions, and so every cell of the body is able to pick amino acids from the blood plasma a bit like a sushi train to pick the amino acids it wants. If there's a lower amount of amino acid in the plasma or blood, then the catabolic state kicks in and some muscle proteins are broken down to give amino acids to supplement those levels. So there we are, anabolic, catabolic and sushi trains.
Yes, so it's really important, if one can, is to provide a supplement of serine as a free form amino acid. It don't have to digest. It is rapidly absorbed and can be taken to where it's needed in the body.
Okay, thank you for that, Hugh. So you mentioned the areas of health associated with a good supply of serine. What I wanted to ask about was something related to what you said earlier about excretion of the serine in the sweat and the urine. So does that relate to some role they've got in membranes and the function of membranes themselves, a pumping system? What is it?
Yes, so in the sweat, it's very important that we don't lose too much sodium and chloride. So there are mechanisms in place where the sodium is resorbed as it passes through the sweat duct, and part of this resorption process involves sacrificing potassium and certain amino acids like serine. So it seems very important role to have. And the same way, there are sodium resorption mechanisms operating in the kidney. Again, amino acids are a big part of that. And also there are amino acids, as well as glucose, and including glucose, have roles in the gut for absorption of sodium. So it's very, these are lots of very important processes that these amino acids support. One thing I will mention, you did say membranes. Membranes are those, if you like, boundaries around every cell in the body, and the brain has a huge number of membranes, obviously, and it's very important to brain function. So serine is required to form one of the key fatty acids in the membrane structures. It's called phosphatidylserine, and from that you can also get phosphatidylcholine. Now, some of you may have seen phosphatidylserine as a supplement. It's a very expensive supplement and probably not that good because a lot of it will be broken down in the process of digestion and absorption. But serine itself is really important to enable the body to make the specialized fatty acids which give you brain function, which give you the capacity to operate effectively during the day. And there have been actually studies to show that brain function can be improved, and sleep, for example, is much enhanced with supplementation of serine.
Right. So that's one of the benefits of serine in the scientific studies is sleep. Other benefits?
So I've talked about the formation of these key components of the membranes in all our cells, but particularly in the brain. So there have been studies looking at brain function and protection against damage. It could be something worth considering for inclusion in managing or preventing concussion injuries.
Oh, wow.
And it's also been shown to assist in the treatment of diabetes.
Wow. So it's a rather important, high demand amino acids. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope you've enjoyed learning about serine. Whilst we can make our own serine, highly active humans or those with chronic health issues may not receive appropriate quantities of serine to meet the daily requirements. In our next podcast, we'll introduce lysine.
The HDAA, including serine, have been blended in the appropriate quantities in our Optimate and Electrate products. You can learn more about HDAA by typing HDAA nutrients into your search engine. Remember, HDAA for active humans.